Cello, Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Jack, and happy Hanukkah to you, my friend. It is Christmas Eve, 2022. Who knew that the year would go this fast?
Yeah, it's been a crazy one as always, but good to still be here at the end of it.
Yeah, right. I mean, we only have to make it on what is that, 7 more days to get to 23. So I like our chances.
Let me ask you something. How far away are you from your microphone?
You know, if I lean back,
Try pushing it like this far away.
yeah, right now it's like 6 inches away.
Yeah, make it be like I'm like a foot away from mine. That's where I want you to be.
There you go. Better.
Perfect. Yeah, because it's feeding back just a tiny bit.
Okay.
All right, I'm ready for week 16. Just looking at some numbers. Want to hear a funny story, by the way? So we went out to dinner last night at our club
Yeah.
with my buddy, who I joined the club with. He's like my best golfing friend there.
Yep.
So it's us, our two wives, and our kids are all the same age, and they're at a separate table.
Wow.
And I sat down and I had like one of those ski sweaters on that I got from Gerard. And it was kind of like reindeer red and, like very festive. And Anna looked at me when I sat down and she goes, "Your sweater's inside out." And I said, "No fucking way." And she goes, "Yeah, go look." And I went into the bathroom
Yeah.
and changed it. And I came back in and it's like it's the formal dining room. Like they have a dress code. Like you could get a letter if you wear like a V-neck sweater with a t-shirt. I came back in and everyone in the place started clapping. And I was like, wait a second, how does everyone know what's going on? And the woman at the table next to me, she said, I saw it when you walked in and I didn't say anything. The waiter saw it. Like everyone saw it. No one told me
no one
until
said
Anna
anything
looked at it.
until Anna noticed it. That's awesome, man.
So damn funny. We had a
Funny
great
stuff.
night. Oh, I ate too much, of course.
Yeah. Hey, listen, I think it's appropriate. I know it's probably a bit somber, but for me, especially today with this huge 50th anniversary of the Immaculate Reception, and obviously 3 days ago, Franco Harris passing at his home.
I'm so sorry about that, dude. I know you were looking forward to tonight and that celebration, and I can't believe the timing.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a tragic thing. I mean, people all around the league. I mean, even if you were, never rooted for Pittsburgh, I mean, you had to admire a guy like Franco and everything he did for like disadvantaged children and people in the community and charity. I mean, he's legendary for that. Like whatever he did on the field, and he's a Hall of Famer, and he, rushed for 12,000 yards and won 4 Super Bowls and turned our franchise around literally from pretty much a perennial doormat into what you may consider the best team in the history of football, potentially. I mean, at least arguably. Kind of pales in comparison for what he's done off the field. So you don't replace a guy like that. I think a lot of people, and just reading all week, like the comments from people, ex-players and people in the city and even people from other teams, it just, the guy impacted the game. And even Roger Goodell and the president of the Hall of Fame had a statement. I mean, it's a big loss for the league when you lose a player like this that gave so much back to the game. So I think at some point tonight, when everyone's drinking or doing their thing Christmas Eve and you're watching the Steelers Raider game, probably lift a glass to Franco, number 32, one of the greats, of all time, a guy that helped me fall in love with football when I was a kid. So, yeah, very, very sad. But hopefully, his legacy will live on forever,
Without a doubt. Was he not well, or was this sudden?
I think it was sudden. I mean, my friend Gary's, Franco went to Penn State, so he had a big Penn State connection there. And buddy of mine, fraternity brother of mine, was friends with his wife. She was basically laying with him on the couch in the room. Went up, came back 2 minutes later, and he was gone. It was like really quick and really. Obviously no one knows the cause of death, but you could imagine it was a heart related thing probably, or something like that.
Well, that's a shame, and I certainly toast one to him and you tonight as a lifetime Browns fan. Always respect, with a level of hatred and a fine line between hatred and respect for the Steelers. But
Totally.
But yeah, he was certainly one of the great ones. Let's jump into the card.
Yeah.
Starting off today with the Houston Texans at Tennessee. And I've got the, let's call them the Jack Power rankings all teed up here. The Houston defense is the number 3 defense in the league over the past month. Now they are better against the pass than they are the rush, but in my contest from DraftKings, my line is 4.5 in this game. It's gone all the way down to 3 at wantomakaebet.com right now.
It's
But
amazing
let's say
how
for our
much.
purposes, this line's 3.5, and I'm gonna pick Houston in this game, and I'm curious what you think, but I just think they're over the past 2 weeks almost beating the Chiefs, almost beating Dallas, is setting up well for them today to almost or actually beat Tennessee with a backup quarterback in Malik Willis. What do you think?
Well, I think Vegas thinks you're right. I mean, the line opened at 7, went to 5.5, and now it's 3. So, I mean, obviously Tannehill probably had something to do with it with the ankle. We knew that Tannehill was not going to play. I mean, I told you last week, it was amazing. He even came back in the game after I saw that ankle, which looked like a broken ankle, but it turned out to be a high ankle sprain. But, Tennessee's been struggling for a long time. We've been wrong about Tennessee for a long time. We finally, last week, made a decision that they're just not, for whatever reason, they're just not getting it done this season. And the one thing that's going to make me, and I know Malik Willis is raw, and obviously, these young quarterbacks, I mean, my God, I mean, you saw what Zach Wilson did on national TV. I mean, it was an absolute disgrace. So and Ritter was, he threw for 90 yards. I mean, these young quarterbacks sometimes can really struggle. I don't anticipate Vrabel asking Malik to do much throwing today. And I'm not impressed with Tennessee, with Houston's run defense as I am as much with their pass defense. Oddly enough, I think I'm going to go with Tennessee in this game at home because, number one, to lay 3 points to a 1-12 team that's a division rival when you have Derrick Henry on your team who notoriously just eats them up. Mm-hmm. I mean, if they have to give it to Derrick Henry 35 times today and Malik Willis has to run it 15 times and you run it 50 times and you win a game, 17-10 or whatever it may be, that's the kind of slog fest I think this is going to be. And I don't see a track meet here. And I think the Houston Texans like to play in these track meet games. Yeah. And Dameon Pierce is out. I just think it's too much Henry. It's too much running. And I think Vrabel is very, very adept at winning this kind of a matchup against the Texans historically. So I'll take the Tennessee, even if I have to lay the 3.5. Obviously, in Megabucks, I'm going to lay 3, and I'll probably wheel it into a couple of just fun little parlays to have because I think it's an underlay. I think people are giving the Texans way too much credit for the games that they've played the last 2 weeks against teams that probably were just looking past them a little bit,
Yeah. Yeah, and I also think worth pointing out, and I before we hopped on, I was kind of like looking at the weather at every single city today just to kind of see who's super cold and who's crazy cold. Tennessee and Memphis, it's not as bad. I mean, it's in the 20s.
Yeah,
it's not single digits like some of these other places like Cleveland, but I did want to also point out, I mean, this total is super low. Like right now, I want to make a bet, it is 34. And on the Jack Power rankings, the Houston's offense is 32nd in the league, so dead last.
Yeah,
and Tennessee's defense is 30th. So I don't know. I mean, that's like the worst offense going up against the worst defense.
Something's got to give, right?
Something's got to give. And I think it's going to be interesting. I almost feel like the under is a look there, even though it's super low,
It's very possible. You probably have guys like Gerard, on Megabucks, you allow a bet called a 4-team teaser, which gives a player an opportunity to put 4 games together and manipulate the points, 13 points, which is a lot. Yeah. Vegas doesn't allow that. So, and a lot of players in New York love that bet. I mean, they live on that bet. They live and die with that bet.
Yeah.
Every week. So suddenly it's not under 32, it's under 45.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's a huge difference. For me, I always struggle with totals. I'm not particularly adept at understanding like how these games, to me, the games are just too crazy to ever figure out what type of a game is it going to be, high scoring or low scoring. There's just too much things, like too many variables. So
Yeah.
it's hard enough to pick a winner, but let's just say in this case, I'm not, it would be shocking to me if Vrabel lets Malik throw the ball that much downfield. He does have an arm. I mean, he can throw on the run. He's got a cannon of an arm, but I'm not so sure how much of the playbook he knows. I don't know how good they really are at wide receiver. Is Burks even playing? If Burks is playing, with a Keen, they'll have a couple weapons there, but I think the game plan is run, 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 and
He's
try and just
listed
play
as
defense.
questionable, by the way.
Yeah.
He didn't practice, but it's concussion, so you never know.
Yeah. It's, I think first of all, it's a game I hope to not see a lot of. I honestly, this is not the most intriguing game, but I'm going to take Tennessee at home and I'm going to lay the points.
Okay.
I just like them in their own building, and I think Derrick Henry is really due to have a game that to reestablish himself as maybe the rushing leader. I mean, he has rushed for over 200 yards more than once against the Texans, and they know he's coming, and they still can't stop him. So that's a dangerous thing combination.
Okay, so we're split there. No consensus. Let's move
Yeah.
on to Cleveland. 5 degrees currently, going to be 9 degrees and windy at kickoff. I don't know if this is the lowest total on the game. Has there ever been a total in the 20s? This is 32 and a half.
There's never been a total in the 20s that I can recall in the NFL.
2.5 will be our line for this. My initial thought on this one, and still kind of prevailing thought, is that I know the Saints are still alive, right? And Cleveland's defense has been much better of late, like in the power rankings.
No doubt. They played a hell of a game against the Ravens last week.
Yeah, and their run defense is certainly not as good as the pass defense has been. But I still like Cleveland in this game because it's an ugly, freezing cold and windy day in Cleveland. And I just think a dome team who typically doesn't play well outside anyway would have to come into this game today and get a win. It's just like, it's asking a lot. What do you think?
I 100% agree with you. This is a game. If Cleveland can't win this game in their own stadium today against the dome team, I don't know. And I don't, for the life of me, I know the line in Vegas went to 3, and that makes more sense than 2.5, because they should be a 3-point favorite. First of all, they're better than, with Deshaun playing like Deshaun, they're better. They're 3 points better than the Saints on a neutral field anyway, especially at home in this weather. This is a game that they have to find a way to win. Now, you get a low scoring game like this, suddenly, weird shit happens. You get a missed extra points, you get a safety, you get dumb shit, and suddenly it could be a 2-point game and you don't cover. And you know what? If that happens, it's not your fault for taking Cleveland here. I don't see how in your right mind, and even though Andy Dalton has played his whole career in games like this, he will not be phased. But there are guys like Alvin Kamara, who's sort of a scat back type of guy. I mean, if you have Chubb and Hunt, I don't understand.
The other thing is, Cello, is the New Orleans rush defense is ranked 25th.
Yeah, they're not really great.
And to me, I just think with the weather being what it is, and the running game that we have, and we're capable of having, and even throwing Deshaun in now as a possible run threat, it's just sort of like, script is pretty easy. Just hand it off all day long.
Yeah.
And ram it down their throats.
I think that's what it is. I mean, I really like Cleveland in this game. Like, I don't know if they're going to blow them out. I mean, when the line was 2.5, I threw, I have a bunch of Wong teasers open with Jacksonville.
Yeah.
At Caesars and in Megabucks, plus the 8.5. And the Saints were plus 8.5. And I did throw them in there because, to me, I don't see a blowout in any of these games where the weather's like this. I see it just being close to the vest.
Yeah.
Right. And 8.5 is a lot of points in a game like this. So I will bet Cleveland heavily in parlays, but I also will take.
You're gonna throw the Saints in the Wongs.
I have them already with
Yeah.
Jacksonville.
Okay.
So
They also have going for them, over the past month, they are ranked number 1 against the pass, but Cleveland is ranked. Sorry, they're the number 1 ranked passing offense, but the Browns are the number 2 ranked passing defense. So again, I just think today's
too windy, not a lot of passing. But I will say this:
and the matchup is good.
The tight ends in this game are intriguing. If you're going to throw the ball, you throw it to Njoku, and the guy that can beat you is Juwan Johnson, the
Yeah.
Saints tight end, who has scored a touchdown in, I think, 4 of his last 5 games. He's a dangerous receiver, and Dalton likes to throw to him. Now, Olave is out, so that's a huge thing for the Browns.
Oh, he is?
Yeah, Olave is out for the week. He has been ruled out. So that's really big. And I think he probably was looking forward to playing. I mean, he went to Ohio State, right? I mean, it would have been like sort of a homecoming for him. So it's a big disadvantage for the Saints not to have him. But Juwan Johnson and Kamara are the 2 guys that have to keep the Saints in this game. If they don't show up, then I'm going to lose the Wong for sure. But Cleveland wins this game, period.
All right. Well, good luck on your Wongs. I hope they get there for you. And like, I kind of imagine that they would, and that you don't lose by 10 like you did last week with Baltimore. But
I think Andy keeps us in it. And I think it's going to be tough to kick. It's going to be tough to throw, and huge advantage for Cleveland there with the running. If they can just not turn it over, that's obviously the key thing, right? I mean, turnovers kill you in the NFL, and that you never know how that's going to go going into a game.
Yep. Okay. Let's move on. I love this next game, and I'm curious what you think, and we talked about it last week. Kansas City, Seattle. The line is 10. I can't believe Kansas City is laying this much. I looked at the weather. It's single digits in Kansas City right now, and will be at kickoff.
17 degrees and sunny, I see right now, right? Or is that going to be kickoff?
I don't know, but it's cold. Let's just say it's cold.
Yeah.
Colder than normal. And Ken Walker's healthy. And I just think this is too much. Again, like laying double digits in the NFL, it doesn't make a lot of sense. I think the Chiefs have been overvalued. They're overvalued again today to me. And Seattle is not mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. They're still very much alive.
I think Lockett's out. And that's a big loss.
How many points do you think he's worth?
I mean, I think it's a big loss for them not to have Lockett. The downfield threat is gone. This is what I'll say. You have been dead right about the assessment that you made 3 weeks ago, saying that double digit, this time of year, it's very hard for NFL teams to cover double digit spreads. The trend for what it's worth in this matchup, say KC in the over, and the trends have been wrong. So, I mean, just throw them out because they just haven't been good this year. But if there was a time where KC would be able to cover a spread like this, I think it would be in a game like this against Seattle's defense, which basically is dog shit, right? I mean, and Seattle, to me, when you lose to Carolina at home in the fashion that they lost to them at home, and you're losing these games, they're 1-6 in Seattle this year. I mean, it's very un-Seattle like.
Yeah.
So I don't know what to make of Seattle. Like, I feel like they're one of those early season darlings that is just Hindenburg down the stretch here. Is Geno Smith even any good anymore? I watched Kenneth Walker run last week. He looked timid. He didn't look like Kenneth Walker in week 4, 5, and 6. He looked like a different player.
Yeah.
So how's Kansas City's defense on the DVOA, on the Jack recency bias? That's what interests me.
It's 20th.
So middle of the pack, meaning that you think Geno can have some success and you're looking for a backdoor cover.
Well,
same way.
Not middle of the pack, lower half.
Yeah.
It's and their pass defense is ranked 23rd, and that's where Seattle's strong.
Okay,
yeah. They're 21 and against the rush. So I like the matchup for Seattle. They're ranked 7th overall. They have fallen out of the top 5.
Yeah.
Based on the way that they've been performing. And it's honestly, and you and I both know, it's their defense. They couldn't stop Houston.
They've been sloppy. They're a sloppy team. Who's checking Kelsey?
Well,
you could have a field day. My God.
Hold on, Seattle. It's got to be one of these guys. Cody Barton, Irwin, Brooks. They're all healthy at least. Ryan Neal's out. Quandre Diggs is healthy. I mean, I think, look, you're right. I'm not going to argue with you that Seattle's defense and say that they're good, but again, I just think you're laying 10 points if you're taking the Chiefs today against a team that's alive for a playoff spot.
Yeah.
And
do you
I
see
think
the
they,
Chiefs losing?
yeah,
You think the Chiefs could lose this game? So would you put a little money on the Seattle money line just for fun?
I don't know about that because I feel like the Chiefs every week get into these games and they end up winning
Yeah.
by a field goal or a touchdown, or they win by 6 in overtime. Like this is how they play each
Yeah.
week. They never win 24-10
So
ever.
you like the points, but you do acknowledge that there will be a lot of players in Megabucks today that have 3-team teasers with Kansas City just to win the game, right?
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
And guess what? I'm gonna be shocked if the whole season goes by and there's not a huge upset in Survivor. I don't know if this is the game. There's a couple other that I have my eye on today as possibilities, but would it shock me if Seattle won this game? Absolutely not. They have the talent to do it.
Yeah, the defense is really bad. Our line's 10.5 or 9.5.
Let's say it's 9.5 because it never hit 10.5 all week.
It's funny because I'm getting 10.5 in my pick pool. So I'm gonna have to do what I've done a couple times in the show, which is I'll take Kansas City on our show minus the 9.5, and I have Seattle plus 10.5 in my pick pool.
Oh, middle.
I think the swing of that 10 points is significant.
Okay. So we're not on the same page there. That's fine. So you have Chiefs, I have Seattle.
Yep.
Okay, let's move on. Next game up on the card is none other than the Detroit Lions of Carolina. This is tough. I was looking at this earlier.
This is so tough, Jack.
I know.
I really love the Lions and the way they're playing. Second week in a row on the road against it. And why is that line only 2.5? And I know your feeling on it. We've talked about it. Is that,
Well, I'll tell you why. Carolina in my rankings is ranked 9th. Their pass offense is ranked 2nd. Their rush defense is 8. I mean, they're legitimate top 10 team based on these numbers. The only thing, I mean, they're middle of the pack on is offense. And Detroit, as I said, is ranked 3rd here. They're doing everything well, but their pass defense is not great.
Darnold's been a little bit better.
I wouldn't put this in my. This is a coin toss to me. Like I think Detroit's a little bit on an upset alert. And yet at the same time, I can't bring myself to like have confidence in Carolina just because of how hot they've been. What do you think?
I'm thinking the exact same way. Like when I look at the line and I look at the thing, I'm like, man, the line is telling you that Carolina is a live dog here at home. It's really begging you to bet Detroit. And at the same time, if I have to take a team in this game, I have to believe that the Lions are just better and playing better football, especially after watching what the Steelers did last week in Carolina. I mean, we absolutely just bottled up Foreman and stopped the run. And I think that's a recipe that works against Carolina. If you can stop Foreman and Hubbard from controlling the game, that gives you a much better chance to beat Carolina. So and Detroit is just, I feel like they're starting to really believe in themselves as a team. And I feel like that's a dangerous team where they can like kind of walk into any stadium with a little bit of swagger and say, yeah, we got this. So I'm going to take the Lions minus the 2.5.
Okay. I'm on the home dog here. I mean, I just have this feeling.
You're going to take Carolina.
Yeah, I am.
Wow. Okay, so we're different there.
Yep, it's a home dog. That's probably like for a Wong teaser. You probably love Carolina, don't you?
I think for me, I have the most success with road dogs. I don't really do well with the 2.5 home dogs. I've had some losers there, so I've tried and avoid them.
Yeah. Yeah, I see this, kind of very, very similar to the Jet game, where it's going to come down to the end. And I know they're a charmed team, but Carolina's been pulling out wins also. And it's just, again, it's a flip the coin. I'll take the
Yep.
points. Maybe they lose by 1 or 2.
All right, you're
It
getting two
really,
and a half at home, Carolina.
yeah. Okay. Moving on to the Buffalo Bills at Chicago.
What's the temperature there? Jeez, I could only imagine.
Jesus Christ. Let me look.
Oh my God.
I know Chicago's always cold. Let's see. It is
-8?
-12. Feels like -12. Kickoff, it'll be 11.
Do you think
Uh,
there'll be some fat,
oh my
shirtless,
God.
fucking drunk, fat, shirtless guy in the stands today there in -12 degree weather?
I feel like that's not as much of a Chicago thing as it is places like Cleveland and Green Bay, and like, you know what I mean? Maybe because it's more civilized crowd.
Did you did you see that Instagram Reels thing I sent you that happened with the Packer fan and the Bears fan, that big fat guy that got thrown down the steps at the stadium
Oh, who fell?
and he fell and his entire ass was out?
Oh yeah, yeah. I was crying last night watching that like 50 times. I think the big cat from Barstool shared that also, and
Oh
I
my
was
God.
I was laughing so hard at that. I kind of felt guilty.
I did too. And I said, you shouldn't be having so much fun at this fat guy's expense. But man, the sound of it, the way he flipped fully over,
Yeah. And the
he's
way that
lucky
and the
he didn't
person
break
who
his
films it,
legs.
yeah, the person who filmed it, their response was like,
Oh my God.
"Oh."
That woman screamed like she literally screeched.
Is that where that happened? Was that the Packer game?
Well, he had a Packer stuff thing on, and the other guy had a bear hat on. But it came out at the night of the Jet game. So I didn't know.
Yeah, I thought
I
it
think
was the
when
Jets at
I
first.
think when Brad sent it to us, he thought it was at the Jet game, but I don't know. But
Yeah.
man, and
Um,
the sound of his fat belly hitting the cement
yeah, yeah.
is a
Oh God.
sound that you just get.
Look, this is the second best team in the league
Yeah,
against the second worst or third worst. I can't make a case for the Bears here, and yet last week I tried to do this with Philly and
yeah,
cover a number like this,
yeah, totally. Same game.
and you know, next thing you know, Fields is scrambling around at the end of the game,
Yeah,
down double digits,
yeah,
and throws a meaningless backdoor cover touchdown.
yeah. Finally came
So
through against you. Yeah.
will that happen again today? Or if it does, will I be surprised? No. Would I bet on the Bears? No.
It's
So
eight
if
and a
you,
half, right? In our
huh?
contest.
Yeah, let's say
Got
it's 8.5. I
yeah.
mean, I don't think we spend a lot of time talking about this, but it's kind of like if you have to make a pick, I'm gonna take Buffalo. I don't care.
Okay. I'm on the opposite side of you because I see this game is exactly the same as last week.
Oh my God! And you did this last week also. You had the
Yeah.
Bears.
So I also have the Bills in a couple Wongs -2.
I like that.
So I like that a lot. And I think it's a big number. I think it's a cold game. I think the Bears in this kind of a game with their running game with Montgomery and with Fields, they're going to be in the game. The
Yeah.
Bills have a hard time lately blowing people out. I think they were pretty lucky to get past Miami at home last week. And it's going to be freezing cold, and that doesn't really affect the Bills. But I will say I think it diminishes the Josh Allen to Diggs and Gabe Davis down the field type of game. So and Buffalo doesn't run the ball particularly well.
Yeah.
Singletary's not great. Josh Allen's going to get his runs, but he's going to get hit. And it's going to hurt.
Oh,
So I see it
again, like what
as
we were saying about the way he should be playing, especially going toward the playoffs. Like, why would he be out there in 10-degree weather running the ball himself?
that's the way he's played his whole life, Jack. That's the way
I
he
know.
plays football, and he doesn't. He
He did
never.
go to Wyoming, so
Yeah,
he's
no,
he's used to this.
100%. It's almost an advantage for him.
Yeah, yeah.
And but Fields went to Ohio State. I mean, he knows cold weather.
I know it's not
I
as
think
cold though as a Mountain West.
I think 8.5 is a lot of wood to chop. I'm going to take Chicago at home with the points, and I have the Bills -2 and a bunch of bets.
Okay. Good luck. I'm not interested in this game that much. Giants, Minnesota, I am.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Giants are very much a live dog in this game. They according to these rankings, they've been kind of rising every week. Hold on, let me just confirm that, because I think they're ranked actually higher than Minnesota. So they're ranked 18th here, and Minnesota is ranked 22nd. But yeah, Minnesota doesn't do anything well except win games. And it's like a Buddy Ryan comment, but the Giants have the ninth best offense here. Their defense isn't great, but I like them getting these points. What do you think?
It's 4.5.
Yeah.
Man, I got to say, I don't know. I mean, historically, I think Minnesota is a tough place to go win a game. I really do.
Yeah.
Who do the Giants have next week? Is it Philly or is it Washington? No, what they're done with Washington. I
Well,
think the Giants.
I can't believe the total here is 49. I mean, I'm not entirely surprised, but it just feels high.
I don't. Listen, the Giants have some guys out on defense still on the back end.
Mm-hmm.
The guy who fell off his ATV while he was on the guided tour.
Oh yeah, when I was doing ATVs in Costa Rica, he was like nearly dying.
Fell off, broke his wrist or whatever he did. So he's a big loss for them, especially in a game like this when you're facing Justin Jefferson, who's virtually uncoverable every week. I mean, he's the best receiver in football.
Yeah,
Cousins,
they're healthy across these receivers. I mean, like Slayton, Hodgins, Bellinger's in, Saquon's healthy. Trying to see their defense. Thibodeau's fine. Adoree Jackson's out. That's not good.
yeah, it's Adoree Jackson out and McKinney are out. So those are the two guys on the back end you'd be concerned about against Jefferson. But listen, the Giants coming off a big win. I mean, I'm sure that obviously they're very well coached. I'm sure they feel like they could be in every game.
And
The
kind of a
question
must
is,
win, right?
what?
Kind of must win out for the Giants each week. Like,
I think if they get one more, what are they at 9 wins now or 8?
let me
I
check.
think last week was huge for them to get that 8th win.
Not
No,
sure.
it's funny with
Yeah, sorry,
Minnesota.
they're 8-5-1.
Yeah, it's funny with Minnesota because the last thing people have in their minds is that wow, they were down 33-0 to the lowly Colts. How do you get down 33-0 to a team like that? And yet they came back and won the game, and they probably could have won it even bigger. There was a fumble recovery in that game that shouldn't have been whistled dead, and it was. It was a clear recovery. He picked it up and ran it in. They didn't get the points there. So, Minnesota, in my mind, really won that game by more than by 3. So, I think this is a hard spot for the Giants. I hate rooting against the Giants. I like the Giants a lot. I always root for them, actually, no matter what. It doesn't mean I'm right, but I'm going to take Minnesota in this game. I think they're just too much for the Giants. That offense is too much at home for the Giants to stop. And I know they have Saquon, and he's been amazing. And you know what? He's the guy that's going to ruin the game for me. If the Giants cover, it's going to be Saquon who covers for them. And they have a great kicker, and it's indoors. But I still think Minnesota wins this game by at least 7 points.
Okay, I'm going to take the Giants. I'm sticking with that. I think I really like what they did last week. I think they can build off of that. They clearly can score. I like their coach. And again, Minnesota wins the same way every single week, which is barely.
Yeah, the scoring differential is very bad.
Yeah.
And that's normally not a great recipe going into the playoffs, but just win, baby.
Yep. Okay. Atlanta, Baltimore. Can't believe this line crossed 7, but it's currently 6.5, 35.5. Let's say 6.5 for us. I hadn't thought too much about this game. Do you think
this is Huntley again, right? Lamar's out again.
What do you think?
Honestly, 6.5 points in this weather is going to be cold too, right? Obviously, it's going to be about 20 degrees.
Yeah, let me look. Baltimore. Got to be freezing. 16.
20 degrees.
Yeah.
You got Desmond Ridder as a rookie quarterback. I mean, but last week they covered at the Saints with an untimely turnover by the Saints. They turned it into points. They only lost by 3. Ridder, wasn't overly impressive. And obviously the problem with Baltimore right now is there's no Lamar. So you got Huntley, who's not really a great passer. I keep waiting for Mark Andrews to show up. He doesn't show up. I mean, I don't, is this just Dobbins versus, and Atlanta can run the ball, right?
Yeah. Their rush offense is ranked third. And
Yeah.
it's the same thing every week. They have so many running backs. And I kind of like that again today, kind of like how the Browns beat Baltimore, especially on a frigid day. They don't have much else going for them aside from
Baltimore's defense against the run is number one, though. It's very strong. So it's a clash of titans here.
Yeah, well, you're right. Their rush defense is one
Yeah,
over the
it's a
last
clash
month.
of titans. I just wonder if Huntley can make enough plays in this game to cover
35.
7 points. I mean, or 6.5 or whatever it is. So, man, it's a tough one. This is a tough one.
Mhm.
I'm gonna take Baltimore and think that they beat a dome team at home with a rookie quarterback. Just on defense alone, I think they force a few turnovers. I think Tucker's better. He doesn't miss again. And, Baltimore wins this game like 19-6, something
Yeah,
silly like that.
I think I'm with you on this, Chell. I think like there was something about last week where the Saints led up, and also it being a division rivalry, like, and being in a dome really helped that kid. But
Totally.
but today's a totally different animal, and I don't know. I just think it's too much to ask to go in and beat Baltimore in this kind of weather, with the fact that the best thing that you do if you're the Falcons is run the ball,
Yeah.
and you're running against the best rush defense in the league.
Yeah. And I
I'm
think
with you.
I think Baltimore's going to force them to run the ball, and Atlanta's going to try and be who they are. And I think they're not going to have the success. And when they go back to pass, I think it's going to be dangerous for Ritter unless he shows me something that he didn't show me last week, which is that he can stand in the pocket and complete a pass. I mean, he was not accurate. He doesn't really know the plays. His progression reads weren't great against the Saints. The Saints are tough at home, obviously, but I think this is a lot to ask of him to go to Baltimore and even keep them in this game.
Yeah, and I think wait, I just want to double check this, but Atlanta's defense overall is ranked 31st.
Yeah.
So it's just like, what's coming. Like Huntley's going to run, Dobbins is going to run. They're going to throw a few to Andrews, and I think this gets ugly. Actually, the more I look at
I
this, and
listen.
I have to lay. I'm just looking. I have to lay 7.5 in DraftKings, and I still might do it.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, I think it's a Baltimore kind of day, and I would be comfortable. And I don't normally like to, as a 6.5 point favorite, tease a team down and say just win the game. But I think in this case, I think you can do it. I don't see Baltimore losing this game at home at all.
Well, what's the story with Wong's? Like you bet a Wong teaser on Wednesday when it's 7.5, and then you lose closing line value. Is that no longer a Wong because it went to
Technically, it
six and
isn't
a
a
half?
kickoff. Technically, it isn't a kickoff, and that's why sometimes you really want to wait on these. Like the Saint line. Technically, the Saints aren't a bong anymore because they're getting 3, not 2.5. But I locked in 8.5 just because I thought it'd be a 1-score game. Now, if I lose that game, if they lose by 9 or 10, then shame on me.
Yeah. Okay. So we're on the same page there. Of course, the only two games that we agree on so far are AFC North games: the Browns and Baltimore.
Isn't that interesting?
And speaking of the third
I
one,
thought I had you on the Detroit. You talked yourself out of it.
yeah, I have Carolina,
Okay.
Cincinnati, New England. Um,
3.5. Yeah.
well, it's been 3 all week. We either have
No,
to do
it
two and
was
a half or
higher. It
three and a
opened.
half.
It opened at 3.5. It was
Okay.
not. It was definitely higher.
I'm fine with putting it there for our purposes. I'm gonna actually. I want to check I think for my contest in DraftKings, it's 3.5 also.
Has to be. There's no
Yeah, it
way.
is.
No way. It's 2.5.
Can they do it again?
Cincinnati.
Yeah,
They've been on fire. They're the hottest team in the league.
I know. Well, their number. What did I say they were? 1 or 2. They are. Sorry, they've slipped a little. They're fifth. My top 5 is San Fran, Buffalo, Detroit, Philly, Cincy. And you're not going to believe who's number 6.
Number 6, like overall.
Yeah, I can't believe I'm looking at this, and it's a very interesting story, which we'll talk about when we get to their game. But it's the Packers.
Yeah, I love the Packers this week, but
how are they fucking relevant suddenly?
it's unreal. As far as this game goes, man, I'm inclined to take New England at home in this game with the 3.5 points. And I know the Bengals, I've been wrong on the Bengals for a long time. So anyone who's listening to this will probably want to load up on Cincinnati because I can't pick my nose against them. But I will say I like Belichick off a loss. They got embarrassed last week on that stupid play, the dumbest play I've ever seen in the history of the league, obviously. And I think, he gave a standard line, we're on to Cincinnati and they're a hard team to plan for.
No,
But
did he say it again?
yeah,
He did.
yeah.
Oh, they must have report. He must have laughed when he said it.
Yeah. Yeah. I like the 3.5. I think, listen, if Cincinnati wins, I see him winning by 3 or less and, maybe a field goal at the end or something, but New England's going to be in this game. They're going to be prepared. They're not a team that, crawls into a hole after a game like that. I don't think, and ends their season. I think, they're in front of their fans. Obviously Stevenson and Harris ran last week really well. So I think it's one of those games, where they run the ball, they control it, they play action pass. Their defense is much better at home. So it's hard. Cincinnati's a very tough team to beat, but with that 3.5, I feel like that half point's big. So I'm going to take it.
I'm just looking at the weather in Boston. It is 17, going to be 19 at kickoff.
Yeah. That's a 1:00 game too.
Yeah, I'm not on the same page with you, buddy. I'm just looking here. So yeah, since he's ranked 5th here for me in the power rankings, and New England is basically 24th, which is really not good. Almost bottom quartile. They are bad against the pass. They're 17th. Their pass offense is 27th. So they're not doing that much well. They're probably running the ball pretty well.
Yes, very
13th,
well,
but not great. 13th. I think Cincinnati is just doing everything well, and this is a game. I don't know. This is a game I think they match up well for this. It's sort of like the only weak part of their situation right now is their pass defense, and New England doesn't really have a passing game. So I'm on Cincy.
Okay.
You are New England. I'm Cincy. That takes us to the next game, which is Washington, San Francisco. Wow, this crossed over 7 also, 6.5 and 37.5. What do you think here? You have the balls to take Washington against the number 1 team in the Jack Power rankings?
I kind of do. I think it's big that they get Chase Young back on the field. I know he'll be on a pitch count a little bit, but they're going to let him go. And Washington's in desperation mode. And listen, Brock Purdy has been really good. There's no question, but I see Washington's defense keeping him in this game. And to me, I want the points in a game like that, especially, I could see Heineke with the ball late in the game, trying to win the game outright, down less than 7. So to me, Washington at 7-6-1, this is a game they need to win. I think San Francisco has pretty much cemented their way in at this point. And I think San Francisco will win the game. I just don't see them blowing them out.
Really?
Yeah. I don't see a blowout here.
I got to say, I kind of do.
You do.
We'll make this 6.5. It's funny. Again, in the DraftKings contest has to be 7.5.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I was so unimpressed with Washington against the Giants. I think they're sort of coming unraveled. I think they've been their little run there in the middle of the season was kind of a smoke and mirror show with Heineke. I don't think he's good. And I think if you want to see how good he really is, you'll put him up against a team like San Francisco. And I kind of see him just absolutely running for his life today and making really bad mistakes and turning it over 2 or 3 times. And I would never go to the window and get a ticket on him today. I know I don't like laying a touchdown or more, but if I have to pick, I'm on San Francisco.
Okay, listen, I feel like Washington was in that game at the end. Anybody who watched it against the Giants knows that, they got a raw deal there at the end. McLaurin asked the ref twice if he was onside. The guy said yes, and then he threw a flag anyway.
You keep bringing that up.
They erased the touchdown that would have tied it. 2-point conversion was the tie. And then, of course, you get the blatant pass interference that wasn't called. So Washington was a little bit more. I think you got to give them a little more credit for that game for coming down and what I think is basically giving themselves the tie against the Giants. But that's neither here nor there. Washington, Rivera's going to have them playing hard. I'd like to see Chase Young make some plays today. I really would. I'd like to see him hit Purdy and force him into some mistakes. I mean, Purdy's a smart player. He's a charm player so far, but I feel like he hasn't been tested at all. He hasn't played anybody. He hasn't been under pressure at all. He played Seattle, who sucks. And the first game he played, I don't know who he played, but it was nobody any good anyway. So, it'd be interesting. I just think 6.5 is a lot of points here. So I'm going to take Washington in our contest. I'm not going to bet any units on it at all.
You like again, you don't like San Fran in a teaser.
No,
it's not a Wong, but like
no, I try and stay away from those. I've lost way too many of those in my life where I'm like, oh, they just got to win the game, and it just doesn't happen. And I'm like, damn, I can't believe I fell into that trap again. And there's two of those traps today. It's Baltimore and San Fran, and I just think you got to be careful there with those.
Okay. We disagree. The premier matchup of the day in the afternoon is your Philadelphia Eagles. Well, not yours, but the Philadelphia Eagles against Dallas. Line is creeping back up. It was down to 4.5. Now it's 5 and 47.5.
It's 4.5 for us.
I mean, the story here is all about Jalen Hurts not playing, right?
Yeah, it's Minshew.
Is that official?
Yeah, it's Minshew.
Okay. Can he do it? Do they need how important is Jalen? Is this like my initial thought was like, what do you think from a point spread perspective? Like, what is Jalen Hurts worth?
And 6. I get
that. No, that's impossible.
The line was 2.5 minus Philly, and it went to 4.5. That's what the line did. I'm just telling you what it did.
So like, I'm saying it's a total overreaction, and they're assigning too much value to Hurts. And I think like Philly is the side to be on in this game. What do you think?
I think they would have struggled there with Hurts.
Really?
Yeah, I think this is a tough game for Philly to go to Dallas. I think Dallas has been licking their chops and waiting for this game for a long time. I think they got picked off last week by not really taking Jacksonville seriously. I think they're going to come out angry and focused and ready. And I like Dallas today to cover the number. I don't think it's going to be that close. For a team that Philly, with the record they have, Minshew's a nice player. He's just a backup quarterback.
Yeah.
And Jalen Hurts is the MVP of the league. So I don't think they're discounting it at all. I think, if you take the MVP of the league off your team and you go to a guy that's basically a backup quarterback, you're not going to see these RPOs with Gardner Minshew. You're not going to see Gardner Minshew run 30 yards up the middle on an RPO the way Jalen does. He's a different player. And I think Micah Parsons is going to have a big day. I think Minshew's going to throw a couple interceptions. And I just think Dallas wants it more. They need it more. And they're going to take advantage of a wounded opponent here. I like Dallas today in this game.
Yeah, I can't believe we don't agree. I'm on Philly. I think, I think we're going to see.
You want the 4.5 now for 20?
Sure. Let's do it.
Done.
Let's do it. I'm on Dallas. I think.
No, you're on Philly.
I'm on Philly.
Yeah.
I think it's like Dallas has been so unimpressive to me the last 2 weeks that I think they're going to get exposed today. And I just have a different opinion about the entire Philadelphia team without Hurts. Like, I think, and we're going to find out today how important he actually is.
Yeah, you are. Trust me.
I like the points there.
Okay.
So that takes us to the last game of the day. The Pittsburgh Steelers hosting the Raiders, and the spirit of Franco Harris. Will it be enough for you to cover, let's say, 2.5? It's gone to 2. Yeah. And 38.5. How are you feeling about your guys today?
It's going to be really sad and emotional. I don't know if that drives them in performance. I know the Raiders have been, they obviously got that lucky win last week, but the Raiders have been playing better. I think they've won maybe 4 of the last 5, if I'm not mistaken. They're definitely playing better. I have
them ranked. Let's see. They're ranked 21st here, and Pittsburgh is ranked 16th.
How's the Steeler defense? It's got to be improving, right? What a performance last week against New Orleans.
Overall 17th.
Yeah.
And here's the problem for today. Your rush defense is number 2.
Yeah.
So that's good because
Yeah,
they got
against Jacobs.
and I think Jacobs is healthy, but your pass defense is 22nd.
Yeah, but it's going to be Jack. It's going to be 2 degrees, and it's going to
Mhm.
feel like negative. I don't see a lot of passing tonight in that game. I just don't. I think that.
Yeah, I like your matchup here. I mean,
I
the
do.
Raiders, the best thing they do is rush the ball, and that's
Yeah.
also the best thing you do is stop
Yeah.
it.
It's similar to the Baltimore Atlanta thing. And in the cold weather, I like us better than Vegas. I know. Listen, I'm not saying, if this plays out like the Immaculate Reception game, which, I mean, why wouldn't it? I mean, it's going to be close, and I think at the end the Steelers find a way to cover the spread. That said, I think it's a tight game. I think we're probably losing in this game a lot of it somehow. I don't see us jumping out and playing with a lead here, although I think Najee could have a nice night. Najee's been a lot better running the ball. Pickett's playing, so he's off the concussion. We'll
Oh,
see what that means.
that's great. That was my next question. I just looked. Yeah, he started Saturday's game, confirmed he was cleared by an independent neurologist Monday, removed from the NFL's 5-step concussion protocol.
Yeah, he's been practicing all week and taking first team reps. The thing is, Deontay Johnson's coming off his best game with 10 catches for 98. He's got a toe injury. I don't know if he's going to play. Pickett doesn't throw to him anyway. He throws to Pickens and he throws to 88 Fryermuth, who didn't have one reception last week with Trubisky in the game. So Fryermuth's going to be big tonight. I always love the tight end in these cold weather games. I think he has a performance. At some point, I think he scores a touchdown. I would bet Fryermuth anytime touchdown tonight with Najee. I think they both can get in. But the total seems really low here because of the weather. But
38.5.
It's another one of those games like similar to me with Buffalo, where I have Vegas and some Wongs plus 8.5, and I'm taking Pittsburgh minus the 2.
Okay, I'm with you. I think it's a great matchup for you. I
Yeah.
think it's a freezing cold night in Pittsburgh. I think I saw last night that, or it may have been this morning on NFL Network, it was minus 20 something. Let me see something.
No, it's like 2 degrees right now, 4 degrees, something like that.
Really?
The field temperature might be that, but it's definitely going to be really cold. Listen, I've been to Pittsburgh.
6 degrees and sorry, tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be 2 degrees. It's going to be
8
freezing.
o'clock, 13 degrees and windy.
Yeah, I mean, this is run, and if we can stop Jacobs, we win. If we can't, they win. And that's the way it is. But they're gonna have a hard time, and they're gonna have their hands filled with Najee Harris. I'll tell you that.
Yeah,
he's and Jaylen Warren. Let's not forget about Jaylen, because when Najee comes out, Jaylen's been very effective. The undrafted kid had a hell of a year. So the one thing that scares me about them is their red zone. They do have Waller back. Waller to me is, when he's healthy, is like maybe just a hair behind Kelsey in terms of a guy that's a really tough cover. And, and I don't know if Miles Jack is back tonight for us. I don't think he is. I think he's still dealing with the injury. So that would still hurt us, but we're going to be ready to play. I mean, this is
no doubt. I love you guys tonight.
Yeah.
I think it's like the stars are aligned, and again, it's horrible timing with Franco, but the spirit of Franco Harris is going to be there tonight. And there's no way you're losing that game in that weather and there's nothing that makes me believe that the Raiders are good. I mean, think about the Raiders lost at the Rams a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Like, I just think.
But the Raiders are in a lot of one-score games. If you look at their losses, they never get blown out. So they hang around. It's like that movie hanging around and hanging around,
That's I just watched Rounders on the way to Denver. I saw the movies on it. I was like, oh my God, I haven't seen Rounders in forever.
That's so good.
Pay the man his money.
Check.
There's so many. I mean, between Ed Norton and John Turturro and Malkovich, there were so many good.
Absolutely fantastic movie. Has to be rewatched again for everyone out there. It's just so much fun. It just sucks you in. But yeah, I'm going with my Steelers tonight.
All right, I'm with you. Let's take it to tomorrow. Speaking of the surging Green Bay Packers, I think a lot of people do not know what I just said and still think of the Packers as like having a bad season. And maybe in the big picture they kind of are, but they are not mathematically eliminated from the playoffs.
No.
And I think if you want to an interesting futures ticket right now, you could get the Packers to like win the NFC at some incredible price, and
You could. I don't
it's
see it
probably
happening.
it's probably worth making a bet.
It might be, but listen, this is the thing. They're one loss away from being eliminated. So that's a dangerous ticket. I tried that last
Yeah.
year with Indianapolis and thought I was cute, and they couldn't even beat Jacksonville the last week of the
Yeah.
season.
Oh
So,
God, I'll never forget that.
I mean, that killed me. So Carson Wentz and Jonathan Taylor, who I will never touch again in fantasy. The guy's a bum. But
Yeah.
that's another thing. But what are we getting? 5.5?
3.5.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
It's down to 3.5? No
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
I'm getting 4.5 in all
Yeah.
my.
People are betting into this.
Uh,
I want to see what I'm gonna have
I
to
don't like it as much then.
really.
I mean, I liked it, went 5.5, then it went to 4.5, and I still liked it. Now you're saying it's 3.5. I mean, that's ridiculous.
Yeah,
Come on.
even DraftKings has this in my contest at 3.5, and they set the lines like Wednesday, I think, or Thursday, maybe at the latest. But I think, yeah, I
I do
think
like
they
the over. I mean, I could see a shootout game. I mean, it would not surprise me if Rodgers wins this game. I mean, and you're getting more than a field goal.
they're
Um,
ranked. They're ranked. Like I said, they're ranked sixth. They have the number one offense over the last month. They're
yeah,
rushing the ball well again.
yes.
They're playing good pass defense. Their pass defense is eighth. Like it's such a good matchup for them against Miami and what Miami does well. And Miami's probably like a little overinflated because they played so well against Buffalo last week. But this is a weird game for Miami, and they don't necessarily need it as badly as the Packers do. But I think it's too many points, and I'm on the Pack.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. I'm gonna basically take them as well. I'm gonna take
Okay.
the Packers because I think it could be a shootout game, and I like the idea with Rodgers with the ball in his hand late,
Yeah.
getting it done.
Okay, we agree.
Yeah,
Let's move to the second game tomorrow. What a horrible game. Denver at the Rams. This line flipped. Suddenly, Denver is laying 2.5. Is that because there's a key injury here? What's going on with the Rams? So Wolford's out, so Baker's playing again.
it's been 2.5 all week. I mean, I like the Rams in this game plus 2.5 at home. I think they've been playing pretty well. I mean, they play well on defense. I can't for the life of me understand how Denver could be favored in any game against anybody.
Yeah,
I just don't get it. I mean, I know their defense is okay, but I'm not impressed with
it
this
has
kid.
to be because Russell Wilson is playing. I mean,
Is he or is it Ripien?
no, it's he must be playing. He's not on the IR. It doesn't his injury status, he doesn't have one. So I mean he must be through the protocol. Right? Oh, here it is. He cleared the protocol last week, but he was held out of an eventual win over the Cardinals anyway. So
Yeah, I don't think the team likes Russell Wilson all that much. I think they play worse under him.
mm-hmm.
I think Sutton's hurt, and honestly, the way the Rams were in that game the other night, they just had some unfortunate breaks and some breakdowns where Baker got sacked a couple times. But I think Baker's been good for the Rams. I think they're at home now. They're going to play hard.
Yeah.
And they're getting 2.5.
Yeah.
I like the Rams.
I do too. I don't think there's a reason to like Denver here, even though they're, let's just see real quick. I'm sure their defense is still incredible. Yeah, they're still ranked 2 over the last month, and they can stop the pass. So it's gonna be hard. Where are the Rams here? Ugh, they're ranked 29th.
Is that true?
Yeah, overall,
Wow.
and their defense is ranked 18th, so it's a little better than their offense. But
And if you look at those numbers, you want to take Denver.
I know this is hard. I mean, God, the Rams, their offense is ranked 30th.
God,
over the last month.
That's horrific.
And their passing's even worse. So it's actually a very good matchup for Denver.
Well, you talked me into it. I'll take Denver.
Really?
Yeah. Based on those numbers.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. It's hard. I mean, Baker Mayfield.
We're laying 2.5. And when you look at those numbers, if you're going to tell me that you're giving me the number 2 defense against the 29th or 30th team with a backup quarterback, a guy that's been on the team for 3 weeks, with the team that's been basically mathematically eliminated without their stars, I would say give me Denver.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm on
Okay.
Denver.
Yeah.
Okay. So we are laying 2.5, right? All right. We officially agree on 5 games. One more game. Well, actually, no, two, because there's the Monday night game. The last game tomorrow is Tampa, Arizona. Like, how could they be laying 7.5 on the road? Just all because Kyler Murray's out? Are you going to go to the window and bet on Tampa again, Cello?
I have Tampa in some Wongs -1.5.
Okay.
Because I like that. I got myself really under the 3 there. Chase McSorley is quarterbacking. I don't know if you saw him. He's like me.
The Penn State guy.
Yeah. He runs around like he'd be great in the JFL. In the
Yeah.
NFL, he's not a quarterback. So I think it's insulting to Tampa Bay to think that they can't win that game, even if it's by less than a field goal. But they should demolish Arizona.
Yeah.
Arizona is dead and buried. They have a coach on the hot seat who's about to be fired. They have none of their star players playing other than Hopkins. But Tampa Bay's been terrible, But where's Arizona's defense? I don't think so.
So according to this, let's see, Arizona's got to be down here at the bottom. So their defense is ranked 27th. Passing defense it's really they can't stop the run. So it's their pass is better at 13th, but they're ranked 28th here. I mean, they're bottom 5 team. They don't do anything well. Whereas Tampa is only ranked 26th. Like, look, I'm taking Arizona just because out of principle on 2 fronts. I can't believe, first of all, it's hard to back any team in this league laying more than a touchdown on the road, much less one of the worst offenses in a totally aging quarterback who's not playing well. I'll take the points.
Okay.
So I'm on Zona. You still want Tampa?
Yeah.
Okay. That brings us to the last game of this week, which is the Monday night game. Man, there's so many games this weekend spread across 5 days. Chargers, Colts, 4.5. They're laying. Man, can the Colts recover from the 33-point lead that they gave up last week?
My God. Who's their quarterback? I thought it was Nick Foles this week.
Is that right? Let me
For
see.
the Colts.
That's
what I thought.
It is Nick Foles, Ellinger, and then Matt Ryan. So Ryan got benched again, I guess?
Yeah.
Huh. This is terrible. I mean, how can you start Nick Foles? He hasn't played a game this year.
No, I love the Chargers.
Jeff Saturday said, I think Nick will give us a better chance to win these last 3 games.
Yeah, I like the Chargers in this game. They're playing really well here at the end, and they're going to have a push. This should be a no-brainer for them. They should have no trouble. Jonathan Taylor's not playing. You're going against Zach Moss as a running back, who's a decent little player. But the way the Chargers are playing, I mean, I'm ready for Herbert to have that explosive game with his receivers. This could be it.
Yeah.
This could be the one. They're indoors. They're on a fast track.
Shaq Leonard,
Shaq Leonard's been on IR. So the Colts are not, they have nothing to play for. Clearly what they did in the second half last week was, abysmal against Minnesota. And they're not going to be able to cover these guys on the Chargers. They're just not.
I totally agree. I totally agree. I think Chargers are surging. We got the nice win last week. You and I both picked them against Tennessee. That was a hard game to win. But they got it done. And I think, this is great. They're playing indoors on a freezing cold weekend. They're lucky to be doing that as a warm weather team. They're the only warm weather team who gets that break. And I don't think they'll have a problem winning this game.
I don't either.
Mind laying, let's call it 3.5.
Yeah.
I have them ranked.
I agree.
Let's just see where they're ranked here. Man, I can't believe they're not higher than this. They're 17th. But they have the 6th best, their 6th best defense. So that's promising. It's just their offense is still not great. 26th. Can't believe that's what's holding them back. But you know what? I'd rather have a good defense over the last month and you're coming in and playing let's just see where Indianapolis's defense is ranked. Well, it's 23rd. So their offense is actually worse than their defense, but I could see
I'm taking the
Chargers
call.
just destroying them.
I'm taking the Chargers. There's no reason to talk about it anymore. I mean, they're so much better than the Colts. It's not even close.
I agree. All right, so wait, what's our line in this game? 4.5. Let's
Yeah,
say
4.5 is fair.
okay.
All right, brother. Listen, I got some last minute stuff to do. Great
Me
job.
too.
Good luck with your picks.
Yeah, happy Merry Christmas.
Thank you, buddy.
And yeah, I'm sure you and I will be chatting later, but
no doubt.
And good luck to your Steelers tonight. And looking forward to a great day of games.
Appreciate you, man. Have a great day. Good luck with your selections.
You too, buddy.
Bet with your head, not over it. Bye-bye.
See ya.
See you later.